Did you see how the prosecution is changing its tune now in the George Floyd case? Because now the defense produced a video showing that the officer's knee was on his shoulder from a different camera angle.
Okay, so it wasn't on his neck; it was on his shoulder.
No, the original video, the angle that it looked at, it looked like it was on his neck, either touching his neck or having weight on his neck. You couldn't tell. But another video from another angle showed that it was on his shoulder, and the prosecution has now. And if you go to Steve Crowder's channel, he plays clips where they admit. Now the prosecution now admits that, well, either on his neck or on his shoulder.
Oh, so they're not. I mean, so they admitted to their own uncertainty about the issue.
Yeah. So they're prosecuting a cop with some guy who had an underlying, coronary disease, hypertension. He was on speedball. He was on methamphetamines, and he was on fentanyl. And on the videotape, he was admitted to saying that he swallowed too many pills. So this is a witch hunt.
So do you think he's going to get off, Darth?
Oh, I don't know, but the point is, even on appeal, it'll get thrown out. There's just so much reasonable doubt. Here, you guy he has a serious heart problem, hypertension, on methamphetamine and fentanyl. Do you know there are cops who have died simply by touching fentanyl in drug raids?
I didn't know that, really.
Yeah, look it up. It's true.
Was it like through their skin or something?
I guess so. I didn't write it down when I read it, but fentanyl is dangerous stuff.
Yeah, it's incredibly dangerous. It's like 100 times more potent than meth.
Yeah, they mix it with I was going to say meth and heroin.
Talking about the trial of that dude, whatever, I forget his name.
Derek Chauvin.
Yeah. Even if there's any
Derek Chauvin.
And by the and one of the police chief, who was black, testified that it was against protocol to do what the cop did. Okay, to put your knee on the neck. But then another police officer who's actively involved in training, what is it? Is it I can't remember. Is it Minneapolis, Minnesota?
I'm from Minnesota.
The guy who trains the police officers, he said, no, that's one of the techniques that they're taught to subdue somebody.
Oh, yeah, totally. It is. I was watching it on the Daily Wire. I think it was on Shapiro's show. They were going over that. But yeah, that's standard police practice.
It's over. There's overwhelming reasonable doubt here, right? And even if there is any kind of a conviction, it's going to be overturned because of the reasonable doubt.
And do you guys notice that the established media right now it's basically a damned if you do, damned if you don't. They're already setting up the narrative that if he gets convicted.
Whores. The news media, they're all whores. They're not the news anymore. These are the propaganda outlets.
Yep.
And guess what? We don't need them anymore. Guess what? We don't need these people anymore. We have the interweb. Okay. We don't.
And that's what they're afraid of.
Well, I mean, they're trying to shut down
Big Tech is going
after
conservatives.
Trump moves over to what was it? I forget where he went, but they shut that down too.
Well, Mike Lindell is starting a social network. He's worth a couple $100 million. Trump is going to be starting his own social network that will combine, or so I've heard, the features of YouTube and Twitter. Okay, so these tech giants made a big mistake. Okay?
Well, I mean, I view this as their first step, right? They want to purge conservatives off of social media, but their ultimate goal is to purge them off the internet and eventually out of society, right? So this is just step one. We'll see if we can stay on the internet under any different platforms.
They want it to be a one-party system, and that's basically what they're pushing. It's going to be a lose-lose situation because they're already setting up the narrative where if, let's say, Chauvin gets convicted, they're going to say, okay, good, it's because he was a racist. And if he doesn't get convicted, they're already You know, I've seen many interviews. They're already pretty much preparing to riot. They're saying, you know, if for whatever reason he doesn't get convicted, you know, there's going to be hell to pay. I've watched quite a few interviews and stuff, and the far left is already pretty much prepared. It's going to be like a fucking lose-lose situation.
Yeah, if he doesn't get convicted, they're probably gonna riot. That's definitely true.
Oh, absolutely.
Is Ben Shapiro still on Twitter, or did he get banned? Anyone know? I don't have Twitter.
I think he's still on Twitter. I think he's still there, as far as I remember.
What are you guys talking about?
But if he's still there, he won't be there for long.
No, they're banning tons of people.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we're talking about the Derek Chauvin trial going on with George Floyd and just everything that's been going on. I think there's pretty good evidence. There's plausible denial. They have to prove, you know, beyond a reasonable doubt. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. They just want it to be, you know, just a mob. They just want it to be a mob lynching. You know, if the mob has already decided and deemed that, you know, he's worthy, you know, let's just break out the guillotine and convict him. You know, what are we waiting for? But that isn't how it's supposed to work in our society. You know, they need to be able to prove beyond reasonable doubt. And it seems like there's plenty of reasonable doubt. You know, the guy was on very, very high on a mixture of opioids and meth. And also, even in the police practice, it seems to be, you know, like what Darth was saying, you know, it seems to be common police practice. And also they were showing, I think there was another angle of the video that he wasn't, I know one of the parts is that he was applying his knee pressure on his neck. And I think another angle was showing it was actually more on his shoulder. So I don't know if anybody knows anything about that. But
well, the autopsy showed there was no bruising of any kind on his neck, even in the
yes, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, and the thing is, they don't care about the truth. They only care about one particular narrative. And come hell or high water, they're gonna make sure. Yeah, come hell or high water, they're gonna make sure that narrative is played out, regardless of the facts. They're trying to whip people up into a frenzy, and unfortunately, there are too many stupid people out there who will fall for the narrative hook, line, and sinker. They're called useful idiots.
Hey, so Darth, what do you think about the left-right system? Do you think that works, or what's your opinion on that?
The left-right system.
Yeah, conservative.
I mean, there's gonna be two sides to everything. It's called a right and wrong. You can't get away from it. You can call it the left, right, or you can call it something else. There's gonna be a side that more or less represents what is right, and a side that doesn't. Simple as that.
Well, I just think the left, they're just borderline insane.
But unfortunately, there seem to be an increasing amount of turncoat Republicans that have almost made both sides indistinguishable from one another.